Pleasant good night, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again for another Business Finance Bootcamp live session. I'm your host, Chantel Neal, and I'm here with
Shane Neal.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Let's get down to business. All right. So tonight we are joined. Tonight we have another interesting discussion. But I want for you to tell us in the comments if you are hearing us, if we are clear. Tell us in the comments if we are clear. Let us know if you can hear us well. All right. Let us know if you can hear us well. We want to invite you at this time to share the link. Share the link with someone tonight. Have them join the program. Have them join the program and be a part of this discussion. Now, as per usual, as we usually say, we are no experts on the topic, but tonight we have a very interesting one to talk about. We're talking about marriage and retirement. Marriage and retirement. Now, when we hear the word retirement, what comes to mind? What comes to mind when you hear the word retirement?
You hear about money.
You think about money?
Money comes to mind.
You don't think about relaxing on the beach?
No.
You don't think about that.
That's the thing. You cannot relax on the beach if you don't have the money to relax on the beach.
Okay, I think
so the money comes first.
You're running ahead of the race. What do you think? What comes to mind when you think about retirement? Put your response in the chat tonight. We want to thank you so much for joining us. Put your response in the chat. What comes to mind when you think about the word retirement? You know what? Retirement is not something we talk about much. Would you agree?
True.
Why do you think this is so?
I think because some people, they just live in the moment. They don't see themselves reaching that retirement age. And so they believe that I need to live in this moment and just enjoy the moment, but not realize that one day they might end up reaching that retirement age. So they don't see themselves retiring anytime soon, especially if they're in their early 20s or early 30s. They don't see themselves reaching that retirement age. But one day, if we don't die before, all of us will reach our retirement age.
I like that you say living in the moment. I think as humans, we live in the moment a lot, not thinking about the future. And it's important for you to think about the future. We don't know if we'll reach retirement age, but we are planning towards it.
Yes.
If it happens. So planning for retirement is of utmost importance, whether you're single or you're married. Now, we want to let you know tonight that not because you saw on the flyer marriage and retirement, that means this conversation is not for you. No, retirement, all of us have to face retirement at some point. So don't stick around and listen to what we have to share. And we want for you to engage as well. And, take from it lessons that you can apply to your life. Remember, all our lives are different. And so don't feel like what we're saying tonight is the Bible or it's written in stone. We just want to share with you some things that we are doing to prepare for retirement. Now, the first thing I want to read here, and I want to put it up on the screen. Do we have anyone in the chat yet that we can say hi to?
No one in the chat.
No one? Well, okay, I see people watching though. All right, so I want to put this point up on the screen. All right, let's see. I'm trying to figure it out. Okay, see if you can work on that for me. It says here, we all know it's important to save for retirement. We do. We all know that's important to save for retirement. And yet there are many couples who don't have a single dollar in their nest egg. Now, when we say nest egg, it means your savings, right? A lot of couples just don't know how to save for retirement or where to start. Let me read it again. I have it on the screen. It says, we all know it's important to save for retirement. And yet there are many couples who don't have a single dollar in their nest egg. A lot of couples just don't know how to save for retirement or where to start. Is this true?
It's true. Um, you know, one of the things that I've noticed is that when people start making money, especially if you're in a job where you make really good money, you feel as though, I just need to just spend, not
Just
realizing
live.
just live, not realizing that yes, you have the strength now, but all it takes is just one injury for that strength to go haywire, and then you end up losing that job and so forth. So it is always good to start putting aside money. It might not be as much, but something to start. All right, something to start. And once you notice, maybe after a year, you realize, hey, I didn't know that just a little $10 or a little $20 would amount to so much.
So
It
true.
motivates you to say, you know what, last year I did $10 or $20 every month or every pay week, or every pay, whenever I would get paid. It motivates you to say, hey, you know what, last year I did 20, this year I'm going to double it, or this year I'm going to add this much to it. It motivates you to realize that, hey, this might actually be a good thing. So that's something we can think on.
Yes, man. A lot of times we talk about retirement, but we're only thinking about the sitting on the beach part, the part where we don't want to get up from our bed, where we're wrapped up in our blanket, that part. But to get there is the part that we don't talk about, how to get there. And I thought about this topic this week because on Facebook, I like the buzzword was retirement. Everybody was talking about retirement. I'm like, have you been working towards your retirement? The only way you can retire is if you have been working towards your retirement. All right? If you have not been working towards your retirement, then you cannot retire.
True. I mean, you can retire.
But with what?
But with what?
And how?
That's the thing.
You know?
You can retire, but just I mean, it's one thing to retire and know that, at retirement, I'm not depending on my social benefits, because a lot of people rely too much on social benefits to say, hey, I've reached, I'm going ahead of you.
Yeah, going
I'm
ahead.
going ahead of you. All right. But
we just want to shout out Mr. Timmy, who is in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Timmy. And yes, we want for you to engage. Tell us what you think about retirement. Tell us if it's something you and Miss Zonia is working on. And tonight we are focusing on retirement, and we're talking about marriage and retirement.
Yes.
When you are a married person, you're not planning retirement just for you. I want to say that again. If you're single, then you're planning retirement for you, alone. But if you are married, then you're planning your retirement as a couple, And so in marriage, you do everything together. You save together, you plan together, you dream together, you make goals together. And when it comes to retirement, you make retirement plans together. Now, I want for us to kind of segue into, and you were kind of already alluded to it, some of the myths that people think of when they think about retirement. Going back to what you had said, your social security is not your retirement plan. No. I want to say it again. Friends, your social security is not your retirement plan. Why is it not your retirement plan?
Well, it's so funny because people spend so much of their time giving back a little small money to their social security and expecting that when they retire that they will be getting this big amount of money. And
but that's what it feels like, the way that they explain.
Not realizing that when you get back this social security benefits or this money can only take care of 2 or 3 bills and it's finished. Then what do you do next? You don't have money to purchase food or money to to even really enjoy retirement. And this is why we're saying that if you don't rely upon your social security benefits, but you have money put aside or money that is saved up, when that money comes in from social security or wherever you're supposed to get money from every month to live or to help you, it will just be an addition because you have money already saved up.
Yes.
You or what some people would do, they would invest while they I'm going ahead.
I have to tap the brakes. Tap the brakes.
But
so again, your social security is not your retirement plan. Your social security is not enough to help you in retirement. You know, like Shane said, that's money that you will collect from social security that might only be able to cover one bill, you know, and so there's much more. You have to eat, you need a shelter, pay utilities as well. So don't say, well, I have a social security and I will not enough. What do you think about those people who push to get into a government job because they know that there's a gratuity or a pension to get at the end? Why is that still not a good safety net?
Why? Well, when government change, things change. All right. So while this might apply, while it might be at this amount when this party is in, when another party gets in, you know, that part that was in first previous, they left. They bring some new ideas and some new things, and they realize, hey, the previous government left us in a huge debt, which means we need to cut back on some of the benefits that people will receive, which means gratuity might just cut down, right?
And we've seen that happen a lot.
Oh yeah, it happens regularly.
You know, things that the government always fluctuate. Social security fluctuate, pension fluctuate, rules change over the years, and so you cannot depend on your social security or your pension or your gratuity, whatever it may be, as you know, this only source for your retirement. I have a few people joining us in the chat. Really appreciate you all joining us. I see Miss Mel. Hi, Miss Mel. Happy to have you. I also see Antolina.
Yes.
Antolina, thank you so much for joining us. Please share the link. Please share the link. And remember, this program tonight is not only for married couples. Singles as well can take some points and put it into practice. Now, another myth. And we want you to put your comments in the chat. Let us know what you think of what we're saying. Remember, what we're saying is not anything in stone. It's just things that we are doing that seems to be working for us, that maybe you can take some points to make it work for you too. Now, another myth that people usually use when it comes to retirement: your children is not your retirement plan. And I want to repeat that. Your children is not your retirement plan. Why do I say this? You have people who have their kids. They don't make any kind of plans, financial plan. Maybe they have pumped all their monies into their children, and that's what parents do. We invest in our kids, but we invest in them for them to make their own lives.
Yes.
Correct? We invest in our children for them to make their own lives, and by the grace of God, they remember the goodness of their parents. They bless us back. No, that's not always the case. You know, you have children who you invest a lot into, and sometimes they don't look back. But that shouldn't hamper your retirement plan, because your plan is not based on your children giving you a little money every week. Now, what do you have to add to that?
Well, that's true. I've seen in some culture where the parents feel as though I have not really accomplished anything. You know, I've never been to a certain, and I need to invest in my child because that child is going to invest back in me. No. It may work. It may work for some family.
And it's a blessing when you have your children giving you something weekly.
The thing is, there are some cultures who it works for them. It works for them. But there are some culture who, you know, the parents invest so much in them, and then when the parents reach a certain age and the child has his or her nice job, you know, the parents is still struggling. Now, I have a problem with that, because there is no way, and I'm going to speak passionate about it, there is no way a child, regardless, there is no way a child should have his or her parents struggle while they are in good position of helping.
But we're living in the real world.
And so for that,
we're living in the real world, and that's not always the case. That's not always the case. Sometimes you raise your children good, and you invest and you
And
pump
in a-
everything into them. And when you get old, because
Mhm.
every day is a day you're
Yeah.
getting older. When you get old, you don't see them for weeks. You
Mhm.
don't get a call, nothing.
And for me, I find that, and that's why for me, I've always said, say this, that the moment my dad still work, my mom is not working,
Mhm.
right? And I've always looked at, I said, the moment I could be in a position where, I'm studying, so I said, the moment I can be in a position where I can help them, or when my dad retires and, and they're not in a position to work, that's where I've looked at what they have done for me. And I appreciate what they have done for me.
And so you give
And so I'm
back.
going to give back. I'm going to be there for them.
Mhm.
So in that case, it works out. But a lot of parents put their 100%
Mhm.
in their children as a retirement plan. And when the child reaches a certain age, the child doesn't even look back on them,
Mhm.
right? And all that money, all that time that they have invested is wasted, right? Hence the reason why we're saying tonight that you are number one, which means make sure that while you have strength, while you're working, not just make the money and invest the money in. Some people
Your
invest the money
children.
in
Don't pump
yeah.
all your money. Listen to me. This might sound selfish,
Mhm.
but before I go there, we have some new people in the chat joining
Mhm.
us that we want to say hi to. Gwen. Good night, Gwen. Thanks for
Mhm.
joining us. Miss Michelle, Sebastian, thanks for joining us. And I see Kevin in the chat.
Yes, my brother.
Kevin is Shane's brother. In the chat, Kimberly just joined us.
Mhm.
Good night, Kimberly. And we want to read this comment from Antolina.
Mhm.
Antolina says, invest in something that will work for you, meaning it makes you money while you sleep.
Mhm.
But investment is something that takes time and years and hard work to enjoy the later years. And that is
Yes,
so
and that is
true.
true.
So you have to start from now.
Mhm.
You can't wait until you're 65 to be thinking about retirement.
And I love the fact that the point
Yes.
that Miss Antolina raised. While the money is flowing,
While you have strength.
while you have strength, you use what you have and you look for
Invest.
things that you can invest in. And once you find something that you invest your money in, it may take some years, it may take some time, but guess what? After a certain time, and whatever you invest your money in, and it starts to flourish and start to bring back, you don't have to rely on the social benefit.
Mhm.
Even if Social Security decide to say, hey,
They go bankrupt.
the country is going in a financial crisis, so which means we need to cut half of what it was supposed to
You
get.
can't fight Social Security.
It won't even hurt you because you have already invested in things that would bring you back a return, a long-term return.
Mhm.
And so what it does, while you have strength now, you have to put yourself in a win-win situation. Then when you reach older and you realize, hey, I'm at this age and there's no way I can get a loan from the bank.
Mhm.
Because the bank,
they won't give
the
you.
bank even look at that. When you reach a certain age, the bank will say, hey, you are at this age.
You're too old.
You're too old.
You can't pay that
You
back.
can't, when you have to have assets for the bank to lend you. So build up your assets now, which will help you to build up your retirement funds, which will allow you not to rely on what the government has to offer, but you will be able to maintain yourself.
Yes. What are your thoughts on this, friends? Put your comments in the comment section. Remember, we are talking about marriage and retirement, but the conversation is not only for people who are married. The tips and things that we're sharing tonight is for anybody. And my heart is heavy because tomorrow I turn 39. Who would believe that Chantal will be 39? But we do not. The thing is that we're not counting.
Mhm.
We're not looking at how fast life is going. I could remember when I was 15. 1-5. Look at me now,
Mhm.
turning 39. This year, Shane will be 40.
Yeah, put it out there like that.
This year, Shane will be 40. I can remember when he was 15. So we are not getting younger, friends. We're not getting younger. We're getting older. Every day you lay down and you get up, it's a day less. So while you have health, while you have the strength, now is the time for you to start to plan for retirement.
Mhm.
Now, you may be 50 right now and might be saying, I don't have anything in place. Start. You can start. You can still do something.
And I'm going to read a Bible verse here in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 9. It says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. There's a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted. Verse 3, a time, this is a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to break down, and a time to build up. In other words, there's a time for us to, there's a time frame, in other words, for us to say, I'm going to use this time frame while I have the resource, while I have strength to invest and to prepare for retirement. Here in Jamaica, if you are a pastor and you're planning on going to ministry and you don't put in at least 30 years, when you retire, you don't get the benefit that you receive, won't be sufficient.
Yeah.
All right. You have to put in no less than 30 years for you to get 100% of the benefit. If you're not putting in 30 years here in Jamaica as a pastor, you will not get that 100% benefit. So that's what I'm saying. You don't rely upon the outer benefits or what you're supposed to receive from the outside, but use what you have and what you can accumulate to build up your funds and to be able to prepare yourself for retirement. That should, in case if you be able to live to retirement, you are more financially stable,
All right, so a quick revision, 2 points before we move on to the next. 2 myths that we talk about just now when it comes to retirement. Your social security is not your retirement plan. Your social is not enough to help you. Remember, when you retire, you're not working.
No.
There's no income. All right, so you cannot sit down and wait on that $100 and something that you'll get from social to carry you through. It's not enough. The second myth is that your children is not your retirement plan. All right. When your kids get older, by the time they turn 18, they're through the door. They're living their own life. So you have to think about you. You love them with everything. But when they get older and they leave, it's just going to be you and your husband. And what will you have? What will you have? So don't pump all your money into your children and you leave yourself. There's no guarantee that they will help you when they get older.
Yes.
So you invest in them as much as you can, give them as much education as you can, but there will be a cutoff time. There has to be a cutoff time so you can focus on you. All right. You can focus on you. And your wife and husband. When your kids leave, you're back to being the two of you. All right. So you cannot pump all your money into your kids. Now we have more people joining. Want to say hi to my cousin Miriam, who's watching in Corozal. Isabel just joined, and Desiree Neal, thank you so much for joining. And I encourage you to share this program tonight with your friends and family. Now, question: what would you say to somebody, Shane, that would say, saving for retirement doesn't make sense? I might die before I spend it. Have you heard this before? Those who are watching, have you heard people saying this before? Saving for retirement doesn't make any sense. I might not even spend it. No, I might what?
Die before.
I might die before even spending it. So I will spend it now.
It's so funny and ironic because that is what some people actually think. That's what they're actually thinking. And for someone who thinks like that, it's a sad case. It's a sad case because not only that, but some of them goes to the extreme to say, "Oh, Jesus will come before then." The Bible said that we must occupy, which means that we would use wisdom you're not preparing. And then when something happens, you're relying upon relative and so forth as a means of helping you out, right? So someone who thinks like that, it's a sad case.
Yeah.
They need some sort of reality check because even if you don't, the key thing, even if you don't live for retirement to receive the retirement benefit and you happen to die, there is funds to bury you. There is funds the same funds that you're saving up, your family could make use of that funds to carry out your funeral. Because when you die, it creates unnecessary debts. So the same funds that you have been saving up for, and to save up for retirement is also in that is bundle your debt. It's like debt benefits to say that if you die, there is funds to bury you. So for someone who thinks like that, I believe that they're not using wisdom.
Well, speaking from a couple standpoint on this question, remember again, the question is, what would you say to a person who might say, saving for retirement, I might not even live to spend it? When you are a couple and you're preparing for retirement, remember I said in the beginning that when you are married, everything you do together. You plan together, you save together, because you're a team. You're not working by yourself. And even for retirement, you're planning for retirement together. Now, if you find out that your husband says something like that, it's very selfish, because when he dies, remember that's one income, that's one income that's gone. And two, remember that you have people that's left behind. You have your wife that's left behind. How will she manage? Or you have your husband that's left behind. How will he manage? So you have to think. In some cases, you have people who have kids that are, maybe they had kids later on in life. If you die, how will your wife manage with the children? It's the same retirement money that you have set aside that will come into play. Or we don't even get to insurance yet. That's a different show. Tonight we're talking about retirement. But for you to be thinking that way, it's a selfish way to think. That means you're not thinking about your family.
But not to cut you across, Miss Neil, but I've heard a story. One of my past principal told me, when I was teaching at the time, before I came out here, she said to me, she's seen principal of schools retire, and after they have retired, don't even have a vehicle to travel
or a house,
or even a house, which means that while they were working, they weren't planning for retirement. So some of them are still renting and retired. Could you think with me? Could you imagine getting about $700 from social? You're retired
and renting,
getting $700 from social. You're paying rent. You have to pay your bills, food. Out of $700, $400 goes to rent, right? Leaves you with $300.
Rent at $400.
Well,
where can you find a place for $400?
In certain areas.
Rent is at whole $700.
Let's look at it. We use $400 for rent, right? Use $400 for rent. For those who maybe Adventists might say, all right, I have to take out my tithe, which is $70. I left with what? $230. What is left for bills? What is left for food? Nothing. So if you have, as what Miss Antonina was saying, if you had invested while you had the strength, while you had the time, while you had the funds, you had invested in something that could bring you back a return.
That's right.
When that money falls short from social, or your benefits fall short, you have funds that is coming in to make up with that. But because you have been doing proper planning for retirement, that's where you receive.
When does that planning start?
The planning starts from now.
We are already late. The planning starts from the time you get your first job. From the time you graduate from high school, sixth form, wherever you graduate from, and you got your first job, that's when you start to plan for retirement. That's when you start to plan for retirement, when you get your first job, because you know this job is supposed to get me to another point. The job that you have is not for you to just to be there and to get that award, the most valuable worker. No. That job has a purpose. That job is to get you to one point, get you to another point. Maybe you move on to another job, get you to the next point. But the goal is for you to start to save for retirement from the time you get your first job. Now you might be saying, I have not been doing that. I have not been doing that. We have not done that. We weren't even thinking about retirement when we got married. It's just as we are getting older, we're learning things, we're reading, and that's another thing. You have to read a lot. read a lot, learn a lot. That's when we've come to the realization that, hey, we have not been doing anything for retirement. We're getting older. We're getting older. And as we're getting older, our health is going down. We're not as vibrant as first and all of that, but we're getting older. We're not the same as we were when we were younger. So begin to start to think about what you will do for retirement from now. All right. I want to say hi to Keisha, who's in the chat. Good night to you, Keisha. I also want to say hi to Adrian, who's also joining us. Thank you so much.
Who is always, whenever we go live, he's always there chipping in as well.
We want to encourage you to share the program for tonight. We have a very interesting discussion. It's not something we always talk about, retirement, but it's something that we need to have a conversation on.
And it's something that I you know what's so shocking? It's not something that I've experienced therein. It's not so, and I must say this, I've never really hear it from the union level and the mission level there in Belize of encouraging pastors to and brethren to think about retirement. I went to a Panjam meeting here in Jamaica for ministers, pastors through the entire island. And while at the meeting, the president of the union here in Jamaica, he stood up and he said to all of us, he said, ministers, I'm telling you that, he was closing his the meeting, and he said, ministers, I'm telling you, think on retirement. There was a whole presentation on retirement. One person did a whole presentation on retirement, preparing for retirement. And he said, ministers, think on retirement. You will not be able to be a pastor and doing this work for the rest of your life. You will have to reach a point of retirement.
It applies to all of us.
Yes.
Because you, at some point, if you're a teacher, if you work it, like for me, I work in media, that takes a lot of my energy, a lot of my time, if you are a pastor, what else? What's the next profession? If you're a doctor, you
teacher. We have heard several teachers out here in Jamaica who passed away, died young and old while teaching in the classroom. They some of them just dropped right down. So prepare for retirement, because when the work gets so stressful, you can walk away from that job knowing that you had invested in certain things. That can help you to sustain yourself.
And that's one of the beauty. And we're going to talk about it. Time is going quickly. But before we transition, I want to just pick your brain a little bit. I feel like sometimes in the church, or sometimes we make people feel like, oh, you don't have to be preparing. You don't have to be planning, because God will provide. God will provide. That's a scripture we use a lot. And it's not a lie. It's not a lie. God will provide. He will provide. He always provide. But, us doing our part can help things along the way. Even for retirement, no matter how much you save, it will not be enough. It will not be enough, but at least you have something to carry you along. At least you have something to start off with, instead of not having anything at all. So when it comes to retirement, why is it that sometimes I feel like the church make you feel like you don't need to be planning, you don't need to be thinking about all these things?
Well, we have a verse right here in Luke chapter 14 and verse 20. It says, for which of you, intending to build a tower, sitteth not down first and counted the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it? In other words, everything that you do, you must sit down and think about it, even for retirement, even in life. Everything that what we're planning on doing, you have to be able to sit down and analyze it. And you had mentioned there that sometimes we feel as though, we just need to sit down and don't
fold
do
your
anything.
hands, because God will provide a house.
Provide.
And He has done these things. I'm not saying that He hasn't. He has done these things. We've seen instances where God provided and everything. But He's saying to us too, to manage the 90% I give you. Don't squander it. He's saying to us too, plan. Nothing is wrong with making a plan. making a plan. You have your little emergency fund, you have your retirement fund. That's two funds that we will talk about shortly. Two savings you need to have, one for emergency, one for your retirement. All right. And so he's saying plan. And we're not saying tonight to be storing up a whole lot of money and your neighbor is starving. No, that's not what God wants for us. You save, yes, it's good, but you save to a point to where you are able to, be okay and you could help somebody too. That's the goal. That's the goal.
When we, like, for example, like when we just got married, and in less than a month, like a week after or two, we were given the offer of a house. And we didn't plan well. We didn't really got it in plan. We thought about it, but we didn't really sit down and plan out everything. But it was an investment. It was an investment that we bought the house, and within 4 years, we were able to pay off for the house. 4 years and something, pay off the house. And from that moment, that investment led us to, for years, not paying rent. For years, we have not been paying rent, at our house there in Belize. So what that does, because we're not paying rent, that excess of funds we could use for something else. So whatever you need to invest your funds or your whatever, and it will help you to build up a little savings for retirement, then that's the right channel to go.
That's right. I like this comment from Antolina. She says, God help those who help themselves. It's what I have. Is what I have always believed in. That's so true. He helped those who help themselves. So you cannot just sit back and fold your hand and say, well, God will provide, and don't plan and don't do anything with yourself. You have to think about getting old. I see Kiran is in the chat. Hi, Kiran, Mr. Rock. And Kiran he works on this ship. And let me tell you, Mr. Rock, you're gonna get old soon. Are you planning for retirement? You can't be on ship all the rest of your life, right? So I hope that you're planning for retirement. Now, let's think about these two accounts that I alluded to just now. Remember, we said that your Social Security is not your retirement plan, nor your children. It's not your retirement plan. So no, what you need to do, you need to have your emergency fund. What's your emergency fund for? It's for expenses that comes up without you even thinking about it. That's your emergency fund. That's money that you will touch when something unexpected happens. And then you have your retirement fund. Your retirement fund is money that you don't touch at all. And we have both those accounts. We have an emergency fund and we have a retirement fund that is saved in our credit union. Why credit union?
And I was just getting alluded to that. And your retirement fund should not be saved. If you're saving your retirement fund at an institution, the bank is a waste of time to save retirement funds.
Yes.
The money does not grow. You lose with time. The bank takes out money from that, But credit union, especially Whole Redeemer Credit Union, when you save your retirement funds there, you are granted, I think, about $5,000 for burial. And after, the person dies, after a certain time, whoever is left behind, they receive whatever is in the account. They receive, I think, either double or triple the amount that's there. So your money will grow. So while you're saving at the credit union, the money is growing without you even putting money on it. It grows, it builds up,
and
it builds up,
it builds up.
And that's what you want. Because you're contributing towards your savings, your retirement fund.
All right. So those are the two accounts you need to have. And I see Karen here put something in the chat. It says, work hard in silence. Let success be your noise. And
yes, that's true.
That's true. You don't have to be out there on no rooftop telling nobody what you have. Work hard in silence. Work hard in silence. And if you can help somebody along the way, help, because that's an extra blessing. That's an extra blessing you receive. Now, we want to get down to the nitty-gritty now. You have your emergency fund, you have your retirement account. Your retirement account, you should not touch that at all. No, there are 3 goals. There are 3 steps to cover when you think about your retirement. your retirement fund.
Mhm.
The first step you need to think about is to set a goal for your retirement savings.
Mhm.
Now, as a couple, remember, if you're single, then you plan on your own. If you're a couple, you sit and you plan together. Honey, how do you see retirement? How do you want to live through retirement? What do you want to do? So these are some of the things we'll sit down and talk about. You know, what do you want to be able to travel? You have some people who like to travel during their retirement time. Some people who what else? What else you do during your retirement?
Some people give back their time to institutions.
Volunteer. So you think. You and your spouse sit down and begin to think about what you want to do during retirement. This is a perfect time for you to sit down and think about what your expense will look like. No, by retirement, your children should already be gone. And I want to say that again. By your retirement, your children should have, because you have some kids who like hang around, charge them rent. People, charge them rent. Because let me tell you, when they get on their feet, you don't know if they're gonna look back. So you love them, but you love them hard. You love them the hard way. By retirement, your children should already be gone out of your house, unless you started late in life. Your kids are still high school, but if they're adults,
for me, we have been working on it. And for me, what I've shared this with when we went to a ministerial meeting, and we were told that for us who are up and coming ministers, we were told that if we here in Jamaica, that if we are planning on taking a job, we are only given 30 years, and we began to check away. we began to check how our age and add 30 years on that, because I shared, here in Jamaica, 65, and after 65, you're as a minister you retire. So we began to check the 30 years on our age and realize that, hey, I don't see myself, retirement will catch me and I won't meet that 30 years. And so reality hits. But as what I shared, I said, for me, I believe that if you work on retirement now, while it might seem hard, while you might get discouragement from people to say, why are you doing that? Why are you doing this?
Work in silence. You see what
Kiran said, you work in silence.
Stop telling
work
nobody
in
what
silence
you're
and
doing.
let people know.
Remember, it's you and your spouse working together. You don't need to be ringing no bells nowhere. I just want to say a pleasant good night to Pastor Angelo, who's watching tonight. I want to say hi to Gabrielle, who's also watching. And I want to invite you guys to share the link to the program tonight. Keisha says we have to be wise, and that is so true. We have to be wise. Remember, retirement planning is for you and your spouse. And just as how in marriage we do everything together, when it comes to retirement, we plan together. Now, we're moving on now. 3 steps to cover when you think about retirement.
So we said set goal.
Set your goal. Set your budget. How much do you think you would need to, how much money do you think you would need to survive on when it comes to retirement? Now, this is not the time for you to be living no extravagant life. No, this is time for you to cut back. Because remember, no funds coming in. Especially, remember, you don't have your salary.
But it all depends, because there are some countries where, like in the US, where even though you reach retirement age, you could decide to say, all right, I've reached retirement age. I will not be able to work full time, but I can work at least 20 hours a week.
But you don't want to depend on that.
While you're collecting your retirement funds, you can work at least a minimum or the most 20 hours a week. So something is still coming in, something is still trickling in, but don't even rely on that as well.
Don't rely on that.
Right? Don't rely on that.
The economy is so unstable, and you cannot rely on that. The next thing in the next step is to invest.
Yes.
There's no amount of money that you can try to save. Like I said, I'm gonna be 39 tomorrow. And we don't have a lot of money stored up in the bank. There's no amount of money you can save to carry you through retirement. You need to have investments. You need to have assets. When I said assets, I remember my dad, right? Because he talks about his assets.
Liquidity.
You need to have assets. Now, what is assets? Can you explain to us what assets is?
Well, it's just things that would generate funds. Land, house, business, property, whatever. Anything that is not tangible money per se, but it's resources, it's
Something you
anything
can
that you can
sell
use
or-
as a means
or
to
rent.
generate funds.
All right.
All
So
right.
your assets are like my husband said, maybe a house, you have maybe property, a business. Those are your assets. Those are things that will bring in passive income. Passive income
While you're
meaning-
asleep, while you're on
Yes.
vacation, while you're in Honolulu, while you're in Las Vegas, while you're in wherever you want to go, Paris, anywhere you want to go,
passive income
money
is
is still coming in,
Yes.
and that's what you want to do.
And that's what will help you with retirement. So savings alone won't help you. Your social security alone won't help you. You have to think about your you have to have assets that can help you as well to bring in income. And I already mentioned the last one, which is savings.
Yes.
You know, and so work towards these things. You may not have all of them at once, but at least you are working towards it. You're working towards. So the first goal, make a budget of what you think you will need. And please add in inflation in that, because by the time you turn 65, if you're planning on retiring 65, I don't want to go to 65. At 65, I should be done with work. Or before
65.
I'm looking at 10 more years to put in by the grace of God.
At the age of 55, I want to be on the beach without shirt, with a saggy body. But I want to enjoy life. So
No, man, we aren't come. The Lord did not allow us to come on earth to just work ourselves away. I see people work until 65, and when they retire, they just die.
Yeah.
No, that's not the plan. That's not the plan. Retirement isn't an age. It's a financial number.
Yes.
Keep that goal in mind, and remember that saving for the future is a marathon, not a sprint. And because it's a marathon, you have to start from now.
Yes.
So that when you reach to that point, you are ready. I want to read that point again. Retirement isn't an age, it's a financial number. And that's why you need to begin to think about how much it will cost you to live without your income that you're having now. How much will it cost you and your wife to live? Remember, we're not talking about the kids, because they should be gone already. And if they're still hanging around, you charge them rent, because income has to come in somehow.
And there are different ways you can, like out here in Mandeville, which is a parish. Mandeville is a parish where it rains a lot. It rains a lot, and so a lot of people have those big vat that when it rains, the water from the government cuts off, which means they save on water, their water bill. So back, in Belize, what you can do as well, you can just save in terms of getting those big vat, let water fill it up, and then from there you work your way.
Yes. So now let's get to the point. How do we save for retirement? Remember, there's 3 things that we need to do in order for us to cover retirement. 3 things that will help us to cover retirement. No, this is besides the blessings from the Lord, because we're not leaving God out of the picture, and we're not saying tonight that we want you to be storing up no lot of money in the bank, knowing that other people need help, right? We're just saying that you need to have a little padding for you and your spouse, or if you're single, for when you get older. All right. And the 3 points are that you need to have a budget. You need to know how much it will cost you to live when you retire. You need to think about investments. Invest into business, invest in land, and you also need to save. So these 3 things has to go together in order for you to be ready for retirement. Now let's look at how to save for retirement, as we're quickly running out of time. The first thing you need to do is to cut your cost of living. Cut your cost of living. Saving for retirement is a challenge, especially when expenses are right in front of you. Cost of living is a top reason people don't save for retirement. And this is so true, because people might be saying, how in the world I will save for retirement when I barely could manage with my regular
But
day to day.
it's easy. It's easy to one. We have issue with. There are some of us who used to buy 5, 6 chicken and put in the refrigerator, and we eat one chicken. One sit down. We eat one chicken. Take that chicken. I don't eat meat, but take that chicken and you cut it up into pieces. Now we're talking about saving in the aspect of food and eating. You cut it up into pieces, and that one chicken can be divided into 2-3 meals.
So we have to be wise.
You have to be wise.
We have to be
Everything.
wise.
For example, you instead of letting the water run from the shower, and you fill up a bucket or something, and you bathe from that bucket. What expense you used to have when you had a job, you have to look back and say, okay, I don't have a job anymore. What I used to pay $40 on water bill. All right, how can I cut that in half? I used to pay $200 on food. All right, what do I really need? When I used to have the job, I could purchase expensive things, whatever you eat, whatever. But when you don't have the job, you realize that the funds are little, which means I need to cut back on things that I don't, it's not a must. So as you get to that retirement age, you look back on what you used to spend and see what can be eliminated from that. Yes. Whether it be light bill, whether it be whatever bill or whatever food bill, whatever you can cut back, you cut back on.
Yes, we want to say hi to Miss Marilyn, who's also in the chat, who just joined us, and Miss Evelyn. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining us, and we want to invite you to share the link tonight. Tonight, we're talking about retirement, and we all want to get to that retirement age, but the question is, are you working towards your retirement? That job that you have and that pension that you're sitting and you're waiting for is not enough. It should not be your retirement plan. So you have to have other plans. How to save for retirement? The first thing we said was cut your cost of living. Now, some people get raised, Shane. And when they get a raise, the lifestyle raise. And that can't work. That cannot work.
Then
when you get a raise, your lifestyle stay the same, and that raise that you get, that extra money goes into your retirement savings.
Before you get the raise, they used to eat chicken back. As you get the raise, you start to eat the breast, or you start to eat the whole chicken. Even with the raise, you still live within means. No, we're not saying that you're supposed to live a poor life, or but you must look back and say, you know what? Yes, I received the raise. That raise that I received could be used as a savings.
Of course.
Because it's an additional money that is coming in that I wasn't planned for. And because I wasn't planned for that additional money, then what I can do, I can say, okay, if I was making, let's say, $1,800, $1,800 for every month, and I got a raise of $200, so I'm making $2,000 now. I can say, okay, I used to live well on $1,800. That $200 is what I'm going to use as my savings and put that aside.
That goes into your retirement fund. Good night, Miss Des. Miss Des just joined us, and good night to you, Miss Marilyn, as well. Stick to a monthly budget. Stick to a monthly budget. And this might sound like scratch record for us, but we live off of a budget. We don't do anything without a budget. Your budget tells your money where to go. And
we have a special program for budgeting, where we will take you step by step in doing envelope budgeting.
Yes.
Right, so you want to join us for that one?
That's right. So not because you get a raise, that means your lifestyle will raise. You stick to your same lifestyle, and that extra that you make, you put it towards your retirement savings. The second tip, we have a point here. Antonina has something here in the chat. She says, make a budget, stick to it. Make smart sacrifices. That's right. Delayed gratification. A lot of people don't like delayed gratification and they want it now.
Yes.
But sometimes it's good for you to wait. Sacrifice. And that word is hard. Sacrifice. Make a sacrifice. For when you get older, then you can enjoy.
Yeah.
All right? You can enjoy traveling. I know sometimes it pains you when you see your friends traveling on Facebook, but
you don't know how much debt
they might be in, right? And so we don't want to encourage tonight for you to go into debt to get things. All right. So it says here, make a sacrifice, pay off your debt. And that's right. You cannot be saving for retirement if you are in debt. Because when you get that pension money, all that money will go because of all the bills that you have. And that's another thing. If you have debt, then I suggest you begin to work on clearing off the debt before you begin to put aside retirement. So you have a lot of work to do. You have a lot of work to do, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. You can do it. In this few more months we have for this year, it's you get down and get those bills paid, sell everything in your house that you need to sell. Sell everything. Sell everything because you gotta get rid of those debts. The longer you take to clear those debts, the longer it will take for you to start to save for retirement. So pay off your debt. It will make what they call a snowball effect. That's right. You're on the right page, girl. To pay it all off in a timely fashion. That's right. That's right. So if you're serious about getting out of debt and if you're serious about starting to save for retirement, then you got to get down to business. All those things that you used to do. And we're not saying that, you just stop live.
No.
Even if it means stop living for the rest of this year for you to pay your bills, you got to get it done.
When we were paying for a house, it was just Chantal and myself.
Beans and tortilla.
There were some times where I just wanted to just throw in the towel because I could even purchase a nice, decent shoes because I had this house expense over us and we couldn't buy certain things. But guess what? It was a sacrifice until now. That very house that we currently have, we were able to accumulate another house, which means it's two. And not only that, but no, it's an investment that even when we're studying,
you rent it out.
You can rent it out. You can make money from it. So it's an investment. So even though sometimes investment, can be for some years, but it won't last forever. And the investment might take you 10, 15, sometimes 20 years, but you might not retire as yet. But you know that when you retire, that's when the investment kicks into play and you can be able to live a little bit more stress-free.
One of the things that I want to make a plug, we're quickly running out of time. One of the best investment is to invest into something that doesn't depreciate.
Yeah.
Don't invest into things like vehicles because that depreciate.
Yeah. The moment it leaves the parking lot,
you cannot sell that vehicle back for the same price. So invest into things that appreciate.
Yeah. Like we bought our house for $50,000 and now the house is valued over $200,000.
So invest. If you have land, put something on it, man. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Put a little wooden structure on it, rent it out. People are always looking for a place to live, just make it livable and everything, just as how you would want, and rent it out. That's a little investment. From there, you begin to add on. You begin to add on. Miss Aspinall has something here in the chat. It said, look for investment opportunities. That's right. As opposed to saving in a bank. That's right. Bank pays a little of two. That's right. And we said that earlier. We don't save in the bank.
No.
We don't save in the bank. The bank is just for our day-to-day transaction because it's easier. But we save at the credit union. And that's so true. There's little to no interest. The bank will charge you more. You don't bill interest in the bank. The bank will charge you just to have your money there. Every month they will take out. All right. The next tip says stop overspending on non-essentials. You want to save for retirement? Stop overspending on non-essentials. Going out for lunch with your coworker every day, or signing up for that cable package with all those premium channels
that you don't watch,
you never watch, can leave your nest egg riding on empty. And this is so true. This is so true. When we got the sense, we cut out cable, cut out everything. Because
Netflix and internet.
Yeah. Well, as long as you have internet, you're fine.
Yeah, you have and that's the thing, you have to live where your money can meet. You cannot live a high life and your money is not meeting there, or else you'll defeat the whole purpose and deplete whatever you have accumulate. So live where you can, where money
That's
can
right. Another thing, another way that you can begin to save for retirement, you can cut down on kids' extracurricular activities. Those children will bleed you out. You love them, we love them, but we pump a lot into
karate
them.
class and
Yes, we pump a lot in, and that's good because it builds their character. But friends, let me tell
if
you,
you cannot afford it, you can invest.
you have to just stay within what you can afford. Some people go to the hills and valleys to send their children to schools that are with these big bills that they can't keep up with. You cannot afford it. So it's best you send them to the public school that's right around the corner. If you cannot afford to send them abroad to study,
send them a yard. If you can't send them abroad, send them a yard.
Some of them have some big goals and dreams, but let me tell you, some of these goals and dreams they will have to accomplish on their own. It will have to happen when they begin to make money. Not gonna be on my money, right? Not on my money.
True.
But you know, children sometimes are hindrances to a retirement plan. You know, because there's so much that they want and they accomplish, but you can take them to a point, give them the education, help them along. But when you see the time comes for them to manage on their own, then you say, son, I love you, but this is as far as I can take you. Associates is as much as I can give you. You have to manage the bachelor's and the master's and the doctorate on your own. All right, because you have to remember you're getting older. You're getting older and you need to have something aside for when you get older. I've seen people work so hard and when they get to retirement age, they don't have anything. They don't have anything. They have to be calling here and calling. You don't have a little 20 to give me, a little 50 to give me. Man, it's such a disgrace.
Or when
it's such a disgrace
when
when
they retire, they're on the side of the street, begging.
Yes, it's such a sad thing.
Plan for retirement.
Yes. All right. So we're winding down. Get rid of any debts, and we talked about this already. Step 3 is to get rid of any debts. You cannot save for retirement if you have debts. The only debt that is allowed for you to have, because it's a big one, it's mortgage. You know, mortgage is not an overnight debt that you can just clear off. All right. So the only debt that you're allowed to have is a mortgage expense, and
that is a debt that I mean, it's just worth it because if you don't, if you're not paying your money towards mortgage, you're paying your money towards a landlord who is, so whatever money you're paying towards your mortgage is something that you will own in the end. But if you're renting, you're not going to own a property.
No, that's it.
That's dead money.
That's dead money. And so if you don't have a house as yet, I want to encourage you, look into getting a little house. It does not have to be a big extravagant thing. Start with a little 1-bedroom if you have land. If you have land, that's a plus.
And also if you want, you can build a house where you build it upstairs and leave, and then the downstairs you can close in the downstairs,
rent it out,
and rent out the downstairs, and the downstairs can be paying for the entire.
That's right.
The entire thing.
So we have to be wise. We have to be wise. You cannot just fold your hand and say, well, by the grace of God, you will get through, but how you will get through? You want that when you reach retirement age, you're not struggling. You're not here begging, you don't know where you will get your next meal. As we wrap up tonight, I want for you to stay focused on your retirement saving goals. Remember, retirement isn't an age, it's a financial number. And you have to know how much it will cost you and your spouse. Because remember, you're planning for your spouse to live when you retire. Keep that goal in mind. And remember that savings for the future is a marathon, not a sprint. So it's something you do little at a time. We know how easy it can be to let life get in the way of your retirement saving, and that's so true. But with the right plan and right actions, you can enjoy your life now and still make progress towards your financial goals. And that is so true. So we are here in Jamaica as students, which means that we don't have a whole lot of income coming in now. All right. We don't have a whole lot of income coming in now, but that's not stopping us from saving towards our retirement fund. We are still saving towards a retirement fund. We're still putting in our savings towards our emergency fund because we have our properties that are bringing back passive income. All right. And those are plans we had set up a long time ago. It's not something that happened overnight. And I want to encourage you tonight to sit down. Tonight is evaluation night. Tonight is evaluation night. I had to evaluate myself because at 39, that I thought I would have never reached, I have to begin to think about what old age will look like for me. And we don't like to talk about old age because I don't know why we feel like we know to get old. We get old. You're to get old, sir. So now is the time for you to begin to think about what you will do. Any final comments?
Well, if you're planning on saving towards retirement, it's the best time is to start now.
Yeah, it's not too late.
It's not too late.
Don't feel
start
hopeless.
Now. Use the opportunity while you have time, while you have strength, while you have connections. Everything. Use the opportunity. Use the opportunity. The time. And you work on your retirement.
Yes, you don't want to wait until when you're old to try to be figuring that out. Then at that time, it's going to be even harder. All right. So Miss Bev says, thank you. I will work on it. Yes, Miss Bev, I believe you can do it. And Miss Des, she says, is it safe to save at the bank? Well, we don't save at the bank. The bank has a whole lot of uncertainties, and I've been following the news in Belize lately, and I think Atlantic Bank has some kind of something there where somebody the bank is not a safe place.
And just to put it out there, if you're saving towards retirement, it all starts from where you start that savings. For example, if I'm going to save towards retirement, I won't save my retirement at the bank because I'm going to be losing every month.
The bank charges for you to keep your money there.
So I'm going to start looking for an institution, and we have Whole Redeemer, and as I had shared, maybe Mrs. Des might not get it, but I shared earlier. I said Whole Redeemer, when you die, in fact, when you start, the moment you open an account, you are insured. If you should die, you'll be given about $5,000 for burial. And not only that, but every certain time of the year, whatever you have on your account, it is you are given, and
because you're a member.
Because you're a member. So you are given. So whatever you have there, the bank is going to give you a percentage of that, and which means it increase. Yes, they may charge you a 1 year. Every year they might charge you a membership fee, but that does not amount to what you receive from there.
All right. So friends, good night, Leon. Thank you for joining us. You're joining us on the ENSA. Anyway, so as we close tonight, we just want to thank you so much for joining us. I think we shared a lot. And I want to let you know that, these aren't things written in stone. These are things that have been working for us. These things that we're sharing tonight, it's not things that, these are things we've been working towards for a long time, over a period of time. And that's why we keep saying that retirement saving is a marathon and not a sprint. Not a sprint. So you have to begin to start from now. Put aside something. Remember, there's 3 things you need to do. You need to be saving, you need to be investing, and you need to have a budget. You need to know how much you need, how much it will cost you to live without those incomes coming in. So with that, we thank you so much. I think it would be good for us to have a discussion on debt and will.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing people don't talk about. Debt. When you get sick, all those things, these are things that couples face. So those are some things we also want to talk about. Thank you for joining us. Oh, Venetia, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you were able to get a part of what we shared tonight. If not, you can always go back to watch. Miss Lisa is watching. Noreen is watching. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining. Unfortunately, we're closing out the show for tonight, but you can always go back to watch the program. Again, thank you for joining us, and have a good night.
All right. Perfect.
Have a good night. Let me see if I can find my closing video here. Let's see. All right.